Two budget airlines become one. Rising competition in a tough environment drove the merger of Scoot and Tigerair. But how much will integration help spread its wings? I check in with CEO Lik Hsin on this week's Managing Asia.
The synergies from the cost savings obviously are the most immediate gains that we could make. The simple sheer increase in volumes from the combination of the two airlines. So we did manage to squeeze out those savings.
Founded by Singapore Airlines, budget carrier Scoot first took to the skies in 2012. Former rival Tiger Airways joined the family as a subsidiary in 2014, becoming fully owned by Singapore Airlines 2 years later. By July 2017, integration was complete under one banner. Was the move purely a move to strengthen SIA's position in the low-cost carrier segment?
Yes, very much so. I think both Tigerair and Scoot were relatively small airlines at the time, and we knew we needed to scale up fairly quickly, and the best way to do so was through the merger.
Lik Hsin had led Tigerair's turnaround before the merger. A veteran with more than 20 years of aviation experience, he was assigned to pilot the newly upsized Scoot.
I think in any merger, the biggest challenge is always about people. In terms of the actual operations, you can follow a set playbook, but people's emotions are the hardest thing to manage. And that would be the case, I think, for any two companies that come together.
Let's talk more about that, because in terms of culture, I understand Scoot is more relaxed, more fun, whereas Tigerair staff, and which includes you, a little bit more traditional corporate. How do you bring together two very different work cultures and mindsets?
I think from the very beginning, it was clear that we were going to continue forward with the Scoot culture. As of course, at time as it played out, we also adopted the Scoot brand over the Tiger brand. So that was quite apparent to everyone in terms of our overall objective. Now, as to how people adapted to it, it's a question of time, for myself as well as for every other Tigerair person coming into the merger as well.
You're not usually in jeans and a Scoot polo t-shirt. Have you gotten used to the uniform?
Oh, it's been more than 1.5 years, so I'm quite used to it by now. I don't have a business shirt in my wardrobe anymore.
What is it about the Scoot way of doing things that you try to keep? Can you give me an example?
For that, I would go back to really Scoot's core values, which we try to live and breathe every single day. So, we try to sum it up in a few elements. We want to be different. We want to have a very open culture. We want to have a rewarding culture, and we want to empower our people. But I think we've come a long way.
Do you remember the day you were named CEO of Scoot?
Yes, I do.
What went through your mind?
Of course.
Were you surprised
I was.
that you were chosen, not Campbell Wilson?
This is a decision, of course, made by Singapore Airlines top management, and so I do not have any insight as to what their considerations were. For each and every one of us, whether previously from Scoot or previously from Tigerair, this experience is something that everyone will remember for the rest of their working careers. Not many people go through this, and the fact that we've managed to go through it and thrive coming out of it, I think that's credit to everybody's perseverance and everybody's efforts.
Well, it's been about 1.5 years. Do you think you've completely won over the hearts of Scoot employees?
I try my best every day. I don't think I've gotten 100% yet, but I hope I'm getting there.
Besides unlocking synergies, Lee wants to take the business beyond, from digitization
in more areas of analytics to be able to engage with our customers better,
to going full throttle on long-haul routes, a lucrative sweet spot that's taking off with low-cost carriers.
With our 787s, we have expanded our long-haul network significantly, and with that, create an overall network rather than just flying point to point.
You now fly to 63 destinations across 17 countries with a fleet of about 40 aircraft. In terms of fleet size and routes, how big a budget carrier do you want to be to compete with other low-cost rivals?
We do have very aggressive growth plans.
What is aggressive?
We want to double our fleet size in 5 years. And so I think that gives you
18.
a sense of the order of magnitude of both aircraft as well as network.
Will you be able to achieve that sooner?
A 5-year time frame for doubling of fleet size already translates to about a 15% growth every single year. And that takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of guts to be able to do that. I think it is already a very aggressive plan.
What sort of investment are we talking about?
In terms of aircraft, obviously it is significant sums of money, but it really depends on how we go about financing them. So it may not mean the full asset cost of all of those aeroplanes because there are ways to get different kinds of financing. In terms of people, obviously it would mean literally doubling of at least the operating crew, which are the pilots and the cabin crew. On the backroom side, maybe not as much, but generally speaking, a lot more people would be needed.
What new destinations are you exploring?
Well, we did make an announcement last year when we first came together in the merger about 5 new destinations, of which 4 have already been implemented. At that time, it was Honolulu, and then we had Palembang, and we had Harbin, and we had Kuantan. For the upcoming year, we've just made an announcement about Berlin, and we're really excited about that because we started Athens a year ago, and it was our first European destination, and now we are demonstrating that we are serious about being in Europe with our second destination of Berlin. Of course, there will be further new destinations in Asia as well, and these would obviously include points in the growing markets of China and also Southeast Asia as well.
What about destinations in the US? Is this something you're looking at as well?
I would say that Honolulu, which we are already flying now, was really a niche opportunity that we saw, and so we decided to take it up. Outside of that, if you are talking about continental US, we think it will be a little too much of a challenge, so we probably stay out of it for now.
You're part of a partnership that involves 7 other Asian budget carriers called Value Alliance. It includes airlines like Cebu Air, Jeju Air, Nok Air. Is this tie-up all about coming together to really give larger low-cost rivals like Air Asia and Jetstar a run for their money?
I think we are looking at it from the perspective of increasing the market presence for each and every one of the airlines inside this grouping, because we recognize that for all of us, we are all single airline base type airlines. So we have a base in Singapore, Cebu has a base in the Philippines. They're very well known there, we're very well known here. So by leveraging on each other's brand presence, we are possibly able to generate more top line for both of ourselves.
So strength in numbers.
Yes.
So strength in numbers, does it mean that you can actually outdo and overtake Air Asia and Jetstar?
Well, we want to bring benefits to ourselves. I don't think we're necessarily benchmarking against any other companies.
In terms of impact on revenue and earnings, how important is this alliance to you?
At this point in time, it's a relatively fledgling alliance, so we see the potential in it, but of course we have not yet ascribed any targets to what might come out of it. Of course, the sky is the limit as far as our hopes for it are, but we don't really have any ascribed targets.
When it comes to full cooperation between the 7 Asian budget carriers, whether it's booking seats, meals, or baggage allowance, even check-ins, are all the 7 airlines already fully aligned?
At this time, no. To be very honest, one of the things that we discovered along the way as we were implementing some of the specifics, there are many technical considerations, and there is a lot of work involved before you can truly create a seamless product across
When can we
so many
expect full
different
cooperation?
airlines. We're working very hard towards it. Just like I guess we do our best, but at this point in time, we don't yet have a target in terms of timeline as well.
Let's talk about this CoChair you have with parent company Singapore Airlines. What essentially does this mean to you in terms of flights, in terms of bookings, in terms of mileage, in terms of customers?
Well, I think that, because we have a network of 63 destinations, and actually over 30 of those points are just ours, Scoot's. Singapore Airlines does not fly to 30 of the points in our network. So what it offers to the customers of the Singapore Airlines Group in general is a much wider product base, which they would otherwise not be able to buy. The CoChair is relatively new, so the product is relatively in its infancy. We already obviously have sorted out basic elements like provision of meals when you buy a Singapore Airlines ticket that's CoChair on Scoot, so that you don't have to worry about getting meals on one sector and not getting meals on the other. There are other details we need to iron out. For
Like
example,
what?
on the frequent flyer side of things, accrual of mileage, we still need to sort out that element.
In terms of impact on revenue and bottom line, what are you expecting from this CoChair?
I think that the Singapore Airlines being our parent company, we are obviously hopeful that this will be a fairly big part of our business. And also, Singapore Airlines Group itself, the parent company, being the size that it is, it naturally should give us much more potential.
You say you fly to 30 destinations that SIA does not even fly to. How much say does SIA have in terms of the routes that you want to fly to? Do you try to avoid cannibalization?
There is a group network coordination committee, so all route decisions are raised to this committee. But I think you really have to look at the actual execution to see what the group's thinking is. So hypothetically, one might assume that Singapore Airlines is afraid of cannibalization and won't let Scoot fly on any of the routes that it does. But as I said before, 30 of our routes are unique points, which means 30 of our routes are parallel points with Singapore Airlines. We fly, they fly. So we are clearly having a strategy which is market focused, customer focused, flying the aeroplane, the product to the markets where there is demand. And we are not afraid of any potential. Obviously, we wouldn't want to intentionally cannibalize ourselves, but we wouldn't avoid the possibility of some cannibalization if we felt that overall there was still a gain for the SIA.
So just to be clear, SIA doesn't mind you competing with them directly?
We already do
They
on
don't
some
mind.
routes. We already do. And we do on half of our routes. So I think if you think in terms of the scale of how many routes that we are actually operating together, side by side with them, you have your answer.
Don't go away, more with Lik Hsin, CEO of Scoot, in just a moment.
It's hard to judge it on its own, to say how can you make money on a $1 ticket or how can you make money on a $10 ticket.
Managing Asia will be right back. Hi, I'm Christine Tan, and thanks for watching Managing Asia on CNBC Live. You can check out more of our great content by clicking on the videos on screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the very best in feature programming. Thanks for watching.